Okay, today what I want you to do is I want you to determine which colors you're going to use for your collage style poster that Shepard Fairey had done. So what you're going to do here is this. This is a basic color wheel. I just found this on Google Images and pulled it up to take just to show you what a color wheel looks like. So we've got this range of color. These are considered our cool colors, our blues and purples, and our warm colors range from red to yellow to lime green. Now, think about 5 colors you'd like to use, and they don't have to be the darkest versions because you might use variations of some of these colors because you need to get a range from dark to light that's going to replace those 5 values that were sort of on that Obama poster. Okay. So what I typically like to do is if I like these warm colors, but then I'm going to contrast with a cool color. So maybe I'm going to use oranges and reds and use a blue, or maybe I'm going to use purples and use a yellow. Okay, so you're going to experiment a little bit. So what you can do is you can go to Google Images and you can just find color samples. Like here's some color samples I kind of like. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to see what they would look like if I'd convert them into values. So I'm going to go select all. I'm going to go edit cut. I'm going to go edit paste. Okay, then I'm going to go Control T and I'm going to make this smaller. So it's maybe like that. Okay, now I'm going to hit the check mark, which is like saying, okay, all right. Then I'm going to go down to the layer down here, and I'm going to grab this layer and drag it right into this little thing. You've got a little folder with a plus on it, and that gives you a duplicate layer. Now I go to my Move tool, which is up here, Move tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move one of these layers to the bottom. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if this has a full range of value. So I'm going to go, it doesn't matter which layer. I clicked on the bottom layer here, and I'm going to go up on top of the screen, and it says Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I'm going to grab the saturation. Saturation is how much color it has, and bring it down to here. Now, what that does is that takes one of my colors, and I can see how light or how dark something is. So I've got my darkest color, which is my dark purple. So think about this. You have to have something that's going to be your black, something that's really dark, and something that's going to be your white. But in this case, you can see that when you turn this yellow into a gray, that gray is actually darker than the orange. It's a darker value. So it means I'm going to need to change that yellow somehow if I really like these colors. So maybe I do this. I'm going to go to that yellow layer, and I'm going to take my eyedropper, and I'm going to choose yellow. And on this screen now, over here, you can see that's the yellow right here. I'm going to take a lighter version of that yellow, maybe here. Okay, and then I'm going to take my paint bucket, and I'm going to click in there and just change that yellow. So I've got a lighter yellow now. Now, to me, these still look very similar. I almost like this to be dropped down a little bit because when I look at it in gray here, these two are really pretty close to one another, okay? So maybe I don't want to be as dark here, or maybe I want to go to purple right now, and I'm going to eyedrop my purple, and there's the purple, and I'm going to make it a much darker purple, almost a black, okay? And I'll take my bucket, and I'm going to make that a darker purple like that. So I've got a pretty nice range of color. I still think the oranges, maybe, I don't know, we'll see now. So now what I'm going to do, let's take the gray layer that I had before, and we'll just put it in the trash by sliding it down to here, okay? And I'm going to duplicate this other layer again. So I'm going to grab that layer and drag it down into this duplicator. Take my Move tool, move that down to here. Once again, I'm going to go to up here where it says Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. And let's see what this one looks like. A little better. So you can see now these colors has a definite lighter one, a light medium, a dark medium, and close to black. So this is a pretty good color skew range if that's what you want to use, okay? Now what you could do is you could just save this. I'm just going to file save it. So you might say, I think this is what I want to do, okay? So I'm just going to save, and I'll just call it my color sample or something. I'll call it color samples. And we're going to use that later, this color sample sheet that I saved, so that I can try it out on some other things. So what I have here is I've got a, I think I got a poster here. Here it is. This is an Obama. Let's see, the Pope. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go File, Place. So I'm going to go File, Place, or Place Embedded. I'm going to go with my color sample. I called it Color Samples. And I'm going to place that here. Now, obviously, I can move it off to the side someplace, or I could make it smaller. And I'm going to see if I like these samples instead. Okay? So what I'm going to do is this. You can select all the blue. That would be pretty easy. All you really need to do here is make sure you're on the background. So to go down to my lower level here, make sure I'm unlock this. I'll click on this and unlock. Oh, I got to click off this first. So click that, say place. Okay. And I'm going to click unlock the bottom layer. I'm going to go to that bottom layer now, and I'm going to recolor this using these colors. So I could just kind of spot do it if I wanted to do that. So instead of the blue, I'm going to go with this super dark purple. So all I'm going to do here is eyedrop my really dark purple, and then I'm going to take my bucket and I'm going to start clicking in the navy blue areas like that, and just see if this is going to look good. So I'm clicking my navy blue and converting it to purple. Okay. Now my next color was this one. So I'm going to take that, eyedrop that color, and I'm going to go to my next darkest colors, which was my red colors. Okay, now when I see that, to me that looks awful dark. So that tells me maybe I don't want to go that dark for that second color. I'll just try it in a few more places and see if I like it. And right now, I think it is, that purple is just too close to the other purple. It's too dark. I don't like that. His whole face looks too dark. So that tells me maybe that wasn't a good color choice. I'm going to do Control-Z and just undo those little areas there. Okay. And maybe I'll say, you know, let's stick with this red, but now let's take the blue area and replace it with orange. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to take my eyedropper again. I'm going to eyedrop the orange. I'm going to take my paint bucket and I'm going to stick it in here. So the blue areas are now turning into orange, which I kind of like that. Now let's just try putting the yellow in this area here or in this area, and let's see what that looks like. So I drop the yellow, and let's bucket that in here. I do like that. It's a nice warm glow to it. So that's how you're going to be determining which colors you're going to be using for your poster. I would say try to stay with two main colors. Like in the Obama poster, I had a red and a blue. It had a dark blue and some variations of blue, and then it had a red. But you might go with purple and gold or orange and blue. But you don't want to make all your colors like the same. Like you don't want to go like all variations of blue. Okay. So that's how you're going to be picking out your colors. Determine what colors you want your poster to do. And that's what I want you to do today. And you could bring up something like this and just experiment. And if you don't like this experiment, once again, you could just take the bottom layer now, and I'm going to duplicate the bottom layer. So I've got two layers, and I'm going to make one of those layers invisible. I'm going to make the bottom one invisible, and I'm going to lock it by clicking on it and clicking on this little lock. Oh, I guess it didn't work. I have to have it visible to be locked. Okay, and I'm going to go on the top layer now, and I might try some different colors. Maybe I'm going to say, okay, you know, I bring up another swatch like this, and I try another version in different colors. So that's how you're determining what colors you're going to be using for your poster. Picking out a color scheme and experimenting. So once again, I don't go with something like this because I know if I turn this into gray, these are going to be all grays. There's not going to be any real dark of black, and there's not really going to be a white. If you look at this one, this has a lot of combinations. Some of these I like. I love these two because there's a big difference. So maybe I'm going to go with yellows and variations of blue. And then you look at some other ones, but you don't want to be going with too many colors like yellow and green and blue and orange and purple. That's just too many. Okay, so find out the colors you're going to use for your